It was a dazzling evening in New York City. The grand ballroom of the Sterling Regency Hotel shimmered with crystal chandeliers, lavish floral arrangements, and the murmur of elite conversation. High-profile charity guests mingled amid designer gowns and sharp tuxedos, their laughter echoing softly against walls adorned with timeless art. Among these glittering figures, Barron Trump moved quietly, his presence understated, yet his eyes burned with a quiet determination. Tonight, he wasn't just another guest. He was there to witness an event that would soon test his very core. As the night unfolded, the gala buzzed with sophisticated chatter. In a secluded corner near an opulent table, a small group of influential socialites had gathered. Their conversation, initially light and jovial, soon turned caustic. A sharply dressed gentleman, his tone laced with disdain, remarked, "If you peel back the polished veneer, Melania isn't all that she's made out to be. It's clear her image is nothing more than a meticulously manufactured facade, lacking genuine depth." His words, crude yet delivered with an air of superiority, were met with a mix of dismissive chuckles and knowing nods. Encouraged by that remark, another guest leaned in and added, "Exactly. One might say she was designed more as a decorative accessory than as a force with real substance. Who truly knows the woman behind that glamorous mask?" The tone grew increasingly bitter as more voices joined in with similar sentiments. What began as a discreet conversation soon brimmed with biting sarcasm and unfiltered judgment, transforming a casual discussion into an orchestrated mockery. Unbeknownst to the group, Barron had been drifting through the gala, his ears finely attuned to every word. As the venomous barbs about Melania Trump intensified, a familiar ache stirred within him. Memories of his mother's arduous journey, from humble beginnings to becoming a respected public figure, flashed vividly in his mind. The thought of someone reducing her entire legacy to shallow remarks ignited a spark of indignation that he could no longer suppress. Barron's heart pounded with every callous comment. He recalled the quiet dignity with which Melania had borne relentless scrutiny and unfair judgment. These were not merely offhand remarks. They were a direct assault on the honor of the woman he revered. The injustice, the casual cruelty masked as refined conversation, was too much to endure. With every mocking word, Barron's resolve hardened. He had long mastered the art of blending into the background, but tonight the cruelty struck a personal chord. His protective instincts surged as he recognized that this wasn't just idle gossip. It was an attack on a legacy built on perseverance and grace. As the conversation reached its peak, the group's laughter and sneers filled the air with toxic energy. In that charged moment, Barron could no longer stand idly by. His eyes, alight with a mix of sorrow and fierce determination, narrowed as he made his decision. He stepped purposefully from the fringe of the crowd and moved toward the table. Clearing his throat, Barron's voice rang out steadily. "Excuse me, may I have your attention?" The surrounding chatter dwindled into a heavy silence as all eyes turned toward him. His calm yet resolute tone cut through the ambient noise like a clarion call for decency. The confident gentleman's smirk faltered as Barron continued, "I couldn't help but overhear your conversation about my mother. While you might revel in a manufactured image, let me remind you that Melania Trump is far more than that." Barron's words, imbued with quiet power, resonated throughout the hall. "My mother is a woman who has overcome tremendous challenges and built a legacy through sheer determination and grace. To reduce her to nothing more than a pretty facade is not only unjust, it is a deep personal affront. Every remark you make ignores the hardships she has endured, the sacrifices she has made, and the strength she has shown time and again." Every syllable was deliberate, each sentence a repudiation of shallow judgment. A heavy silence enveloped the group. The previously carefree laughter faded into expressions of shock and discomfort. Some guests exchanged uncertain glances, while others shifted uneasily in their seats. The once vibrant atmosphere transformed into one of introspection and subdued remorse. Barron's intervention had struck a chord, forcing even the most cynical to reflect on their own superficiality. For the remainder of the evening, the tone of the gala shifted palpably. Conversations that had once centered on frivolous banter gave way to thoughtful, reflective discussions. Many guests, clearly moved by Barron's stand, began to reconsider their own words and attitudes. Whispers of admiration spread quietly through the hall, and a few influential figures nodded in silent approval. The sting of the earlier cruelty lingered, now met with a collective realization of the value of respect and empathy. After Barron's bold intervention, a palpable shift swept through the room. The once carefree banter dissolved into a reflective hush. Influential guests who had joined in the mockery now exchanged uncertain glances, their earlier smirks replaced by expressions of contemplation. One distinguished guest, previously vocal in her disdain, approached Barron later that evening with a sincere apology, admitting, "I now see how shallow my words were. Her heartfelt confession sparked a cascade of similar admissions among others, as the ripple of change began among the attendees. As the gala carried on into the late hours, Barron found himself drawn into an intimate circle of guests eager to understand his perspective. In a quiet corner away from the opulence, a once dismissive gentleman confessed, "Your words hit me harder than I expected. They made me realize that behind every public image lies a person with real struggles." In that heartfelt dialogue, barriers crumbled and even those who had mocked earlier began to question their own biases, discussing broader issues of media manipulation and the importance of empathy. Throughout the rest of the evening, the energy of the gala transformed. Groups that had once indulged in superficial gossip now engaged in thoughtful discussions about dignity and authenticity. Barron moved through the crowd, his quiet presence serving as a catalyst for change. A renowned art critic, initially indifferent to the controversy, later approached him with gratitude, remarking, "I've seen many images, but tonight you reminded me that true art lies in the depth of human experience." Her words, echoed by many, painted the night as a collective awakening, a moment when the guests began to see beyond the surface. As the gala drew to a close, the atmosphere was charged with introspection and hopeful promise. After the event, word of Barron's bold stand spread like wildfire. Clips of his interventions circulated rapidly on social media, accompanied by headlines such as, "Trump heir defends mother's honor at high-profile gala," and "A night of unforgivable words. Barron Trump speaks out." The video captured not just a moment of defiance, but a heartfelt plea for decency and compassion. Public opinion was divided. Some lauded his courage, while others criticized the confrontation. But one thing was undeniable: his words ignited a national conversation. In the days following the gala, the incident became a catalyst for discussion across various platforms. News outlets, blogs, and televised panels debated the ethics of celebrity culture and the dangers of reducing individuals to mere images. Influential commentators and everyday citizens alike questioned the pervasive superficiality of media narratives, urging a deeper understanding of personal legacy. Barron's intervention served as a wake-up call, a reminder that true respect is born from acknowledging the struggles behind the gloss. In the quiet that followed, Barron reflected on the events of that night. Away from the glare of social media and the buzz of public attention, he realized that his stand was not merely about defending his mother. It was a call for everyone to look beyond the surface. His courageous act forced people to confront uncomfortable truths about judgment, privilege, and the value of genuine human experience. This inner journey, though painful, transformed him, strengthening his resolve to champion truth and integrity. As the weeks turned into months, the memory of that night continued to resonate. Barron's defiant stand evolved into a lasting symbol of integrity and empathy. In interviews and public discussions, he reiterated, "Before we rush to judge someone based solely on what we see, we must take the time to understand the full story behind the image." His simple yet profound message became a rallying cry for those who believed in the importance of seeing people for who they truly are, not just as curated images. Over time, the ripple effects of that evening began to transform the very circles that had once indulged in shallow mockery. Influential groups and social media influencers who had joined in the earlier mockery found themselves forced to confront their own biases. Barron's intervention had sparked a broader dialogue, one that encouraged a more empathetic and respectful approach to public figures and their real-life stories. In the months following the gala, Barron's brave act spurred a quiet revolution. Academic institutions, social clubs, and even corporate boardrooms began hosting discussions on empathy, media manipulation, and the importance of honoring personal legacy over superficial images. Barron was invited to speak at various events, sharing his experience and emphasizing that every individual carries a profound story worth hearing. His humble yet resolute demeanor inspired many who had long felt silenced by societal expectations. Standing at the forefront of a movement for deeper understanding and genuine human connection, Barron reflected on that transformative night. He realized that his intervention had not only defended his mother's honor, but also set in motion a broader shift in perspective. "True change begins with empathy," he later said in an interview. "When we listen, understand, and honor the full story behind every public image, we create a world where respect and compassion prevail." His words became a beacon for a future where every person is valued for the depth of their character, inspiring a continued call to action. On the threshold of a new day, Barron's message continued to resonate. Before we judge someone based solely on what we see, let's take a moment to understand the struggles and triumphs behind that image. His call to empathy and respect became a lasting legacy, reminding everyone that true change begins with compassion. Years later, as people looked back on that night, Barron Trump's stand was remembered as a defining moment, a time when one young man's words pierced the veneer of superficiality and sparked a nationwide shift in perspective. His courage remains a testament to the enduring power of integrity and the belief that every individual's story is worth hearing. In a world captivated by glossy images and fleeting headlines, Barron Trump's stand at the gala remains a timeless testament to the power of one voice. His defense of his mother's legacy, his refusal to accept shallow judgment, and his unwavering call for empathy continue to inspire and challenge us all to look beyond the surface and honor the truth behind every image. This story invites us to remember the profound narrative hidden behind every face and every name. If this story has touched your heart, please share it and subscribe for more inspiring tales. Remember, every name, every face, carries a story worth listening to.